Good afternoon, everybody. It's yeah, I didn't promote this one much because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know about you, but I was up last night, very late, watching actually one of my friends, Joey Vincent, who has the Filter Free America podcast. He was down in the third precinct filming all the damage, all the riot stuff. So I was watching that last night, and in fact, at 5 o'clock tonight, I'm going to have Joey join me, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. Good afternoon, Logan. How are you, man?
Buddy. I'm all right, man. Hope you don't mind. I'm going to be eating a brat.
That's fine. Enjoy it. But 5 o'clock, we'll have Joey Vincent on with me to talk. I also found out that our friend D'Angelo Funches was down in downtown Minneapolis in another area from Joey, and so I'm going to have him on as well, and we're gonna talk a little bit about what things were like last night and what the feeling was. And I don't know. It's the good news is, I guess they announced a little bit ago that they did take former police officer and murderer Derek Chauvin into custody. So that's good news. Hopefully that will calm people down a little bit. I don't know. Everything's getting prepared for it, so it might not. You never know. To be honest, to have watched last night as Joey was down there on Lake Street and watched some of the other reports. There's not a whole lot left for them to do in that neighborhood, but there were fires on in Midway in St. Paul. A lot of stuff up there too. So anyways, Logan and I were talking about this before. We don't know how much fun this is going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of a fun mood I'm in.
Same. I went to bed pissed. I was up late, talking to a friend and watching the updates, and then woke up to even more of not great things of reporters being arrested, which is wild, and our president literally threatening civilians with violence. So that's just been the stuff I've been racking my brain with, and like I messaged John right before this because I said, hey, I just want to. Here's my concerns. I don't know how funny I'm going to be. And, but it was also, I'm glad you still have your mug of wine though. I'm glad
I didn't, I started, and there it is, folks.
I'm glad you're still sticking with that. But I also wanted to say just the point that I said to you where, like, I also didn't know if it was right for just me and you to sit here and pontificate about it, because it didn't feel like we're necessarily like the right guys to really be the ones giving a big long take on this, and also ignoring it feels really gross. So we're kind of like, well, let's just, I guess, see what happens. But that's kind of where we're at mentally.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. I as long as we're genuine about what we're feeling, I don't think there's a problem. And
I think that's true. That's a good way of putting it.
It's a difficult situation because as a white person, I'll never have to worry about the situation and the anger that a lot of those protesters have. Although I will say that I know from Joey's reporting, there were certainly a lot of diverse people demonstrating, which I think is great. I will also say, in terms of the CNN reporting crew that got arrested, Governor Walz addressed that in a press conference, and he has talked with the president of CNN. It was more a miscommunication than anything else. Apparently, the state troopers were told we're clearing this area, and went ahead and cleared it by arresting the reporter and the rest of the crew. Apparently, once they found out that they were actual reporters, which, I don't know, but apparently held them in custody for about an hour. And Governor Wall said, "I just want to make sure that we're 100% clear, because I don't want anybody to think, oh, something bad's going to happen. That's why they're arresting those people. They don't want them reporting on it." He says that's certainly not it.
I didn't take it as, I took it as though just arresting someone, because they were saying very clearly, like, we are reporters with CNN, we have credentials,
yeah,
and then stood there kind of debating with the second one, like, okay, well, you're being arrested, and it's like, that's where it's like, I don't know, it's hard not to see tyranny in that, and not to get too big about it, but it's hard not to see that when that's, and I believe that's it's illegal to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the thing about it is it just continues the level of mistrust, and that's what this is right now. It's hard because there's a huge level of mistrust of the Minneapolis Police Department, and yet the protesters have to trust that they aren't going to do anything. It's an amazing situation, and certainly not anything that I've ever seen. I remember I was alive in 1967 when they had the riots in Detroit.
LA riots in 92.
92, yeah, that was something.
So that's the thing, when people are just like, I can't believe in this day and age, like, you can't. We do this every few years. We have to have and it's because things don't change. Nothing
changes. Everyone. And I think it's a matter of convenience.
Well, for sure, it's because in all those instances there are people saying, "Oh, I can't believe this is happening," because they can't.
Yeah.
Believe they won't look at their biases or what's actually happening, and the same people who are just like, oh, I can't believe all this looting and rioting, are the same people who couldn't believe Kaepernick taking a knee. And it's like, well, really what you can't believe is that black people don't know their place, and it's time for you to confront that. Like, that's really what it is. That's what's in your heart. You may not admit it, and you may not consider yourself racist, but if you have problems with either form of standing up to abuse of power, then really you're just angry that someone has a different experience than you, and you'd rather it go away, is really what's. And I'm not trying to just be a downer. I know I'm angry, but I just right now too, it's I don't know, there's a lot of people just like, oh, but why couldn't they be peaceful? They were for a long time.
Yeah.
They were choosing very peaceful forms of protest
till they killed the guy,
and you
for no reason.
Exactly. And you berated them for it.
Yeah. It's
and progress comes from violence. Sorry, it does. I wish it didn't, but yes, I see people just like, oh, but violence begets violence. Yeah. Murder caused a riot.
And we, as I recall, at the founding of this nation, there was a huge riot.
There's a lot of those.
And if it wasn't for that, we'd all be speaking with a British accent.
Which would sound good. Also, by the way, if you are lamenting the loss of a target and not the loss of a black man's life, that is the whitest thing I can imagine.
Yeah. News.
You are the ultimate honky then. If you. Oh no, not the target.
I'll tell you, and it's very surprising to me. Target closed 24 stores in the Twin Cities area. My understanding is, and I don't know this for sure, but my understanding is all the Cub food stores are going to close until there's some more calm or some more security. Because even out as far as I am down in Lakeville.
Oh, really?
The Target in Apple Valley is closed. I don't know about the Cub, but there's one, maybe a couple of miles from me, a mile and a half, something like that. Yeah, it's just it's frightening. The thing that's interesting to me is, and when I talked with Joey tonight in D'Angelo, Joey's been out there.
You doing that? When's that? That's at 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
Okay.
And Joey's been out there for 2 nights.
Yeah, I've seen his update. I don't know him, but I just know enough people who know him.
Yeah.
So I've been seeing. I just know that name now from his updates.
He does a great job in that he doesn't pass any judgment. He's just out there reporting. So I think it's very cool, and he does a fantastic job. The interesting part to me is after the first night, there was a touch of coverage on the news. After the second night, about the same. Yesterday afternoon, because as you can see, this stuff happens. And I'll say this, I remember when Ferguson, Missouri happened. It was like I was watching that stuff all the time. It was on all the time. And you could watch streams from the news channels in St. Louis that were basically 24/7 covering it because and yesterday I'm listening to the police scanner, which you can do online. I don't have enough money for a police scanner.
Oh, guys. Sorry, dogs are sprinting off to yell at something.
Oh, there you go. But I'm listening and I'm hearing reports in St. Paul that there's looting and there are fires starting and then things are popping up in the Facebook feed with people saying this and that is happening. And I'm literally looking on TV and it's Dr. Phil and I'm thinking, why in the hell are you not reporting on this to the ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS? None of them were doing anything.
Yeah.
And it just floored me, because people need to know what the hell's going on.
I've noticed, and especially in kind of this area and stuff too, more and more people who will just kind of say things like I'm just over talking about politics. Everything's so political now, and I don't want. So it's literally just wanting to turn a blind eye to what's happening because they're tired of debating with people. And it's like, well, sorry, we live in a world where we have to suss some shit out.
Yeah.
Like the people, I'm hearing that from so many people, just like, I don't know, I'm just kind of over politics. I don't really listen to it anymore. And I've been that way too. Like I'm also not passing judgment. I've been a few years ago, I had to just stop paying attention to stuff because I had my own life going on and I just had to, and I'd block stuff out. And then suddenly I realized I'm like, oh, I'm missing out on important things that I really should be paying attention to.
Yeah.
And yeah. I don't know. And I don't know. It's, I saw a friend of mine posted on Facebook. He just said, isn't it crazy that COVID is like the C plot now? Because we just now we're all like, I know this is happening. This is a huge deal. We need to be paying attention to it. But it's like, even from massive world changing things, we want to move on from it as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the stuff that is defining our generation right now.
Yeah.
How we handle these things.
I don't know. We've got a situation too right now where Trump is doing a press conference, and I was thinking about listening to it while we were doing this, and I don't want to, because he's
sure he's going to say great stuff.
He's, it's a situation where if you look at his tweet from last night, which is first of all ridiculous, but the governor of this state had already authorized the National Guard to be used.
Yeah.
And then about, I don't know, 7 hours later, the president says, we'll call in the National Guard. Really? Yeah. It's just him again taking credit for shit he didn't do.
He's going to say it's his idea.
And if it's good, great. And if it's not good, well, he's
yeah. And, and everyone's already been sharing it too, of the different tweets based on, of how, the people who were marching on the Capitals with guns were very good people, and everyone up in Minneapolis right now are thugs.
Yeah,
that language difference. But no matter what, my thing is now, no matter what if you want to try to defend Trump to me, now I am just going to be able to say, like, he literally in a tweet threatened the lives of American citizens. The looting starts, the shooting starts.
Yep.
Like, he's just saying he's willing to quell unrest by murdering people.
Yeah. If
that's your president, then I don't fucking understand you at all. If you think that's the face of freedom, if that's the face of democracy, I cannot fucking understand where your mind is at all.
He's the king of idle threats.
Mm-hmm.
And you see people who say, well, he said this, but he didn't really mean that. Well, you know what? Why would he say it then? You can't do that. It's insane as
he's being sarcastic about putting, disinfectant. Everyone now is suddenly thinking he's some sort of Andy Kaufman genius. So everything's meta. He's just, it's a bit.
No,
it's like, well, then he doesn't get to be fucking president.
I had a.
He was joking about those things. Then fuck off. You don't joke now.
Yeah, I've seen all this. My ex-wife would tell the kids, if you don't do this, I'm not going to feed you. And it's like, well, that's bullshit. You're going to feed them. And anyway, you know what? Well, that's a hard thing. There is no solution, Mom, because you got some people who lie, and just make shit up. And then people believe them. And
the problem is,
literally lie and just make shit up because they're in a spot when they're in a spot where they can say whatever the hell they want to. And then when they get proven wrong, they go on the defensive, and whoever has proven that they said something that was wrong, then and I'm just talking about him. What's the solution? I don't know, man. There's no solution. There is a solution, but I don't know what it is. Nobody knows what it is.
The big problem, especially with the unrest and everything that's happening right now, is so much of it goes back so far. Like, we screwed up so long ago.
Yeah.
And how we set up this country, and because I know people don't want to admit it, but the government wants to keep you poor, to keep you docile. Out of the riots, really, it's to get the solution to the riots is to listen to the people when they were peacefully protesting, when they were kneeling, when they were asking for, it's the problem is it's too late now. The riot is we didn't act when we could have. And so you do get a riot, because the riot is the explosion of unrest, and so right now it is just kind of like, the riot happens, and now is the time to actually listen to it. I know you may be, people may be angry that things are being destroyed, but it's like that's what happens if you don't want to value human lives on the same level. Then I saw someone tweet that stop murdering us or we'll burn stuff is actually a perfectly reasonable reaction. And it's like, I agree with that. I've never been afraid for my life when a cop's been around.
No. My one of my nephews, who lives down in Des Moines, Iowa, has a friend who is a person of color, and he went to high school with him. And yesterday, posted a video where he was detained for no reason in a Walmart parking lot as he sat in the car talking on the phone. They made him go through a field sobriety test, even though there was
no reason to, no probable cause.
And it's this kind of thing that's just unacceptable. I've slept in my car in a Walmart and nobody's ever done anything. For hours. This is the problem. The solution for the riots right now, as I mentioned before, former police officer Derek Chauvin, who was the fellow that was kneeling and actually choked George Floyd to death, is now in police custody or in not police custody, Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. So it's not the police that have him, it's the BCA that has him,
Okay.
which is probably a better thing. But yeah. No, I didn't hear that yesterday, but I don't doubt it. There were a lot of horrendous things that I did see. One of the things that happens in a situation like this is there are opportunists who are not necessarily part of the demonstration that find it a good time to try to cash in, or as many of you may or may not have seen, there was a gentleman dressed all in black with an umbrella.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Penguin.
That story's strange.
Who had a hammer and smashed out windows when there was nobody there at the AutoZone that burned down.
They supposedly have him. He's a former police officer, or is a police officer, or
it's possible.
But they supposedly have texts like from his ex or something like that, but nothing's really been totally substantiated.
Right.
About his identity, but
it's this happens. People who are not from here come up and take an opportunity. By the way, there's Chris Schlichting.
Hey, Chris.
Schlick Shopper. Hi,
hello,
buddy.
my friends.
I also want
everybody.
Strange.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Yep.
I hear you. I do just want to say, John, though, off of that point, I'm not saying the person who commented said that, but the idea of like, oh, but there's this stuff happening too with the riots. Like, oh, there are people who are doing these bad things. And so therefore the protests are bad. Well, then by that rate, then the cops that murder, now all cops are bad. But I'm supposed to not judge all cops based on a couple of bad eggs. Well, then that goes the same way too. You know what I mean? That's where we get very into that. Like, well, people are doing this in the protests, therefore it should stop. Like, okay, well then we need to look at this over here then too.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's that game of if you want to judge things that way, then you have to judge all things that way. You know, you can't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out of one bad egg means they're all bad. Okay, well then that has to get applied over here too in this other power structure. But anyway, hi Chris.
How are you, buddy?
I had a feeling you guys might be talking about this. It's hard not to. First off, John, are you safe?
Yeah, I'm way down south. So at this point I'm okay. It seems like they did not go much further south than Lake Street, which is about the 3800 block, or 38th Street as you're coming from South Minneapolis, from Minneapolis down south. I'm all the way down at 167th. So I'm a good 10 miles from where everything's happening. So I'm okay.
Good.
But thank you for asking.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, I heard that cop was brought into custody today.
Yes.
One of them, the guy that was doing the kneeling, right?
Yes.
So
as we mentioned, hopefully that will calm people down. Then you have the whole situation where, okay, he's in custody. Will he be there until there's a trial? Are they just holding him for a little bit? And if he is not convicted, then we start all over again, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, not to get too in depth with it, but yeah, if he is let off, or what if they just, me and my buddies were talking about this, what if he's just charged with like manslaughter? You know what I mean? Is that enough? Like what
Man, I don't know.
Obviously nothing will soothe the tensions of everything, but I don't know.
I mean, and a lot of people are calling for, they're not going to be happy till all four are in custody,
Mm-hmm.
all four officers. And I mean, and again, too, kind of off my sentiment from the beginning, like the three of us, the three white guys safely from their homes, we're not going to be the ones with the answers. We don't know what the answer is. We're not the authority on this. But I mean, yeah, but you're absolutely right, Chris. If they're arresting him just to be like, okay, look, we did it, everyone calm down now, and then he doesn't get a good charge or whatever, it's they don't take that part seriously. It's like, oh well, we're gonna let him stay he's gonna be on house arrest for a little bit, like that. It definitely ain't gonna fix it. So I mean, I hope this isn't being done as merely a publicity, as a PR, just to be like, oh, you know what, this will stop the riot. It'll help. It probably will calm people down. But then now it's like, all right, now you got to put your money where your mouth is, a little bit.
Yeah, but Sharon, there are people that are coming up from all over the place. There are people that are coming out here from Chicago. I have heard that.
People love blaming Chicago around here. I do love that.
No. I don't know. I'm just saying.
In Iowa, I'm saying though, in Iowa, everyone's like, oh, it's from Chicago. It's like, no, there's crime everywhere. There's violence and crime everywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
Chicago didn't do it.
There were demonstrations all over the country last night.
Yeah,
Los Angeles, Denver. I know
Ohio,
Louisville.
We've got some stuff here in Davenport.
Did you?
Yeah.
I know. Some of it was not nearly as destructive as happened here, but I did hear reports that there were fires in Denver and Louisville.
Really?
Also, I think Memphis had some. I mean, I'm not gonna judge because I'm not in that position.
Yeah, I think Logan, you hit it on the head, dude. Like, as I'll speak for myself, but throw you guys in there just in case I get in trouble. But I guess 3 white guys. What the fuck do we know about it? Like, I saw a good post about, shut the fuck up. You don't know what it's like to be an African American. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
When you say
at
I don't,
the same time, it sucks and I care. I mean, but yeah.
When people say like, I don't understand these protests. Yeah, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
You wouldn't understand it. 23andMe is a fun game for you. Looking into your ancestry is a lark.
Yeah.
When Black people look at their ancestry, all they see is oppression.
Look, Africa.
Maybe it eventually ends with that, but it's like
it just sucks. It's scary. I got friends. I'm sure you guys know people in Minneapolis, and John, you're up there. I just say,
yeah,
it's bad. Yeah, and like John, you said, the press isn't covering nearly as much of it. They're kind of downplaying it a little bit, right?
Yeah, they were on last night, but it wasn't until Logan and I did a match game show last night, and actually, to be honest with you, I'm glad we did that because that was fun, and that
was fun, yeah.
It was, but the minute that I got off, and I saw that my friend Joey Vincent was down there reporting, and I looked, and the television stations were still running regular programming up until 10 o'clock at the 10 o'clock news, and then they ran until 2 o'clock in the morning, but yesterday in the afternoon when I was hearing looting on the scanner, nothing, not a thing. And when I was listening to that scanner, it sounded very, very similar to the stuff that was happening in Ferguson, and the St. Louis stations were on 24/7 with information, because I remember watching it online. So anyway,
yeah, it brings me back real quick. I don't know how many years ago. This maybe 26 when Rodney King went down.
Yeah,
when,
the LA
that
riot
all went down. I remember when those cops got let off. I was at Iowa State, the University of Iowa State, visiting a friend's older sister. I must have been 10 or 11, and there was a riot, not a protest that at first started peaceful, and then tear gas was thrown. And I remember as an 11-year-old kid smelling that tear gas and being very scared. Too young to comprehend kind of what was going on, but it just kind of brings back memories to that, how scary and violent it can be. You know what I mean?
Well, and I would say that before you got on, Chris, too, like the people who always say like I can't believe in this day and age is happening. It's like, well, it happened. Yeah. Like the LA riots weren't that long ago. Like this isn't new. If you can't believe it, it means you are refusing to look at it. I mean, is really what it is, And again, the fact too that any 3 of us could walk into a state house with a machine gun and our buddies and still be considered peaceful. I think right there's your bias, and the president will tweet about us being very good people.
I think if anything, we can all agree that 2020 is kind of sucking a dick.
Yeah, you know, the real heady take on it, I think.
Yeah.
2020 is really sucking it. Yeah.
I mean, if anybody looks good, it's the Murder Hornets. They're like, good. We don't have any pressure. Like, no one's focusing on us now.
Yeah, everyone's looking away from us now.
Yeah, geez, it's been awful, man. It's crazy.
Well, speaking of awful, let's lighten things up here.
Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah, now let's try to be funny now. Yeah.
All right, gang.
That was
Here
a
it is.
perfectly timed stinger, by the way. I started laughing very hard when the graphic came up.
Hey, dude, I'm a pro. All right, today Chris has found the Align socks. Tell us about it, baby.
50% off. I try to go less spooky. I figure my last couple of items were rather scary. Although the more I look at this, the more scary it is. I don't know.
You brought up something that I don't have in my home, so I'm just happy that now.
This kept popping up on my Facebook feed like too much. In fact, like the 8th or 9th time I saw it, I'm like, should I get these? Like, I have no problem with my feet. My toes are okay, I guess. I just thought it was funny. Like, it just reminded me of like a hobo. You know how they cut their gloves, their fingers off? If you want to go all out as a hobo, you need these socks too to really establish yourself.
I was kind of thinking they look like if you were going to be training to be a foot boxer.
Yeah, yeah. This is a real blood sport item here. Yeah,
I think this is for the people that aren't sure if they like socks or not.
Yeah,
it looks kind of painful. To be fair,
I say they don't look comfortable. It looks a lot of just wadded, just fabric between your toes. That does not seem fun.
Yeah, they're like, I don't know why they're pushing it. I think I was curious, so I opened the link, Logan, and I think they just, red flag. They're like, he's interested. Go. Send the ad. Send the video. Tell them they're 50% off. Jay doesn't know the original price.
Someone finally clicked on these. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
so
I'm sorry,
not
Carol.
interrupted us, Carol. Good to see you.
Hey.
Thanks for looking in. 3 people with the virus, and she's over at Wisconsin. And Wisconsin, of course, is now open and catch it if you can state.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that, Carol.
Yeah, we're not quite hit here yet, but surrounding areas are starting to surge a little bit. So
guys, can we focus on my toe socks, please?
Yeah, sorry, but I'm sorry.
Or toeless socks. What do we call them? I don't even know.
I mean, they look like casts. Look like you broke your ankle. Like it looks. This person shouldn't be putting weight on them, is what it looks like. They should be sitting.
What's the promo for this? Do you play piano with your feet and your feet get cold?
I mean, so is there more information on it? Is it about like just getting your toes to be straight again, or is it meant to be like for your?
It's a health thing.
Is it balance? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
There it is. Care for your feet with their soft touch. They separate, stretch, and align delicately your toes. I don't even think that's English. Made of a soft, washable material suitable for home and for sleeping.
I couldn't imagine.
Oh my gosh, my toes are hanging out. I can't sleep with them. You will just have to place your toes in their holes to enjoy an immediate relief of your pain.
Hate that.
Toes, bunions, cramps, and much more. That right there is printed by somebody who is a native Chinese speaker.
So,
the thing is, they got 9 reviews, but of course, I'm looking. I can't find reviews anywhere. Oh,
well, in my experience, John, I will tell you this: if I did order these, they'd be here probably sometime next year. If I know anything from ordering off these shady websites,
oh my God,
at least a year and a half.
Yeah, look at John. Scroll back down. Look at the ones that are just sitting there that aren't on their feet. Those look like full like wrist guards for fighting. Like those look how meaty those are. Those look huge.
Bought 2 pairs of these for my wife. She likes to put it on at the end of a work day. That's one in a long line of bunion sufferers.
My toes are
stretch your toes.
My toes are straight now, so people are buying them a lot more on the internet. My feet.
Oh well, they didn't show that they had colored versions. I wonder if they dyed them on their own there.
Yeah, you could probably do
You get
different outfits.
cool designs, yeah.
Here's a nice one. My husband has absolutely terrible feet. Hammer toes, bunions, you name it. He's even got foot aids.
The Align sock do make his feet. Well, these are also very clearly like written. These were clearly paid, people to write them. Well, they're all written in like perfect ad speak too. Just like, I can't. My husband has terrible feet. The Align sock, and it's properly punctuated or capitalized both Align and sock. It's very clearly like, write it this way. Here's the copy.
Aren't you obligated to do one bad review just so it doesn't look too fake? Look,
no,
like
they're all good. There's nothing but good here. Nothing but good here. And it's funny because that's actually, they have the same thing on Amazon, where you'll go through and you'll see it's like, they're all good. They're all good. They're all good when it's a new product. And then there's one that's like, I don't know what these other people bought.
What is it? $20? I think it's
20
like
bucks. Well, that's the thing. I can't tell if it's, so is it 20, is it 50% off of $19.99, or
I think it's probably that final price.
Or is it? Oh yeah, it's normally $40.
Jeez,
$40 for those stupid things. I don't.
Excuse me. What did you say?
I said you can spend your money on another stuffed squirrel.
Yeah, this was kind of a last minute late night thing. I'm like, fuck it, I'll just throw these toeless socks at John and see what he does. See if he does any weird promo.
It's just,
John, come on.
For $40, just stuff napkins, put them between your toes.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah. I feel bad for any people that have
you're right,
feet, though.
Cowboy boots, mangle toes.
Sharon, you need these socks. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they're good for the toe shoes.
I don't know. Maybe Sharon, do you wear cowboy boots? I don't. I used to, but I got wide feet anyway, so I got wide cowboy boots.
It's just like with everything going on, we're just like, let's just try to make fun of these toe socks.
I know.
We're like,
I know. Even while we're doing it, people are commenting just like everything's terrible. I'm like, yeah, no.
I know.
Pretty much.
So are these socks. These are also terrible. Am I right? Come on.
Oh my gosh. Well, I would say my final verdict would be don't waste your money on those.
No, get them.
What? Well, that doesn't help.
I would if I were you, seriously, I would take the money we're going to spend on the toe socks and put it towards getting another stuffed squirrel. B, get a couple of sets of Loch Ness ladles.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually this is kind of cool. I'm actually kind of at the corner of my eye watching the news, and it briefly said that everybody stopped riding for a little bit just to tune into Schlick Shopper.
Whoa!
So this is incredible.
Wow, that's crazy.
So much pressure. I feel bad kind of for mailing it in. This is incredible, guys.
Wow.
They're going to try it. Well, Sherry, I'll tell you what. If you do try them, let us know.
Yes,
because we would love to hear what you think of them.
Or send that $20 to the Minnesota Freedom Fund. Oh, look what I did! I brought it back to.
There you go.
Oh my gosh!
It's a better use of that money, I think.
So, John, you're thinking about calming down for a little bit, or are you just with everything going on? You just feel.
I kind of feel like I need to know what's going on over the weekend because I honestly I barely, if I'm honest, I barely wanted to do this. Mm-hmm. And there's John Bush. Good to see you, John. Hope you're doing well, friend. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard because it's like I'm watching all this stuff, and I know people that are down there. And like I said, Joey Vincent's down there. D'Angelo's down there last night, and here I am doing this, and it just sort of feels stupid. And
yeah, no, I know, man. I know exactly what you mean.
To be fair, it's been stupid the whole time, but I'm just like, you know what? I don't know if I should keep doing this in light of all this while this is going on. If things calm down over the weekend, maybe I will. I've got a comedian from Los Angeles named Eric Escobar that was going to be on with me on Monday. Well, he's scheduled to be on with me on Monday, and I'm just I'm just, yeah, I don't know.
John, I totally hear you, dude. Like when everything opened up in Iowa, I was just like, I just didn't see the point of Schlicht News anymore. I'm like, it seemed like a perfect place to entertain people when they were like quarantined. And since it opened up, I'm like, I'm just not motivated to do it anymore. I just, you had a captive audience, literally a captive audience. And it was just, nah.
I mean, I've kind of felt that way since the beginning of coronavirus too, and seeing how people were handling it, and also it just started to get to the point of just being like, you start wondering like, does what I do matter? Is me haha, I do jokes like,
nope.
But then at the same time I always come back to him like, but throughout all parts of history where there's been great turmoil, we've always needed laughter and stuff still too. It's just, but it is making me constantly look at like how I want to do it going forward, and how, what is worth the time, what is worth entertaining.
And I think what that said, Logan, even if it's like 4 or 5 people, even if it's just you, it's okay. Like John, people like this show and they like it, and that should be motivation, almost like an obligation for you to be like, provide that outlet. I don't know. I just think, and I'm a hypocrite because I shut down Schlicht News, but I'm just like,
and John too. I think you had a good point. So when I reached out to you, because I was kind of saying like, should we go on today and do our yucks? But the thing that you said of just like, well, if we're just being honest about our feelings, that's kind of all we can do sometimes. And it's like, that's true. And so I don't think you're doing anything, dishonest or disingenuous by coming on here and straight up, and saying how you feel and
I mean, I kind of, as you mentioned, Chris, I do kind of feel obligated to a degree, because I kind of feel like what this is. When I first started doing this, it kind of was for me, and it's sort of progressed to the point where it's really not anymore. It's kind of progressed to the point where I've been able to have a lot of comics that I know and like, who are not able to do anything, and it's nice for them to be able to get out in front of some people, and let them know what's going on and kind of find out more about them. Like yesterday, I had Chris Maddock on, and I've known Chris for a long time, almost as long as I've been doing comedy, and he lives 4 blocks from where everything was going on, and his wife has a shop there, and I'm sure that it was probably trashed, but he still came on and talked with me for an hour, and was, I mean, just couldn't have been nicer or more humble about doing it with me. And so part of me's like, I do want to do it, but I also don't want it to be that I'm ignoring what's going on. And that's
you're not though. We're talking about it. When
we definitely have not ignored it.
No, we haven't ignored it, and now
we even made the socks about it. There you
go. I did it slowly and quietly.
Yeah.
I mean, I got about. I got to refill because I only have a little bit left.
I think it's okay to be confused about it too. Like you said, Logan, we don't know the answers, and anybody tuning in saying, "Oh, these guys will figure it out."
I'm sorry.
Know. I'm confused. I'm scared. John, I thought of you. I was worried. My buddy Brian Miller, who's a Minnesota comic.
Oh yeah.
Was out walking around like tweeting about it. I go, maybe get inside. Like I'm just, I'm worried about you guys. I got buddies up there, and
I got friends and family up there. And then I know tomorrow too, there's going to be plans for protests in Chicago and stuff too. Yeah. And I have a ton of friends there, and it's, I don't know.
Yeah, Sherry.
Yeah.
So
it's nobody knows what's going to happen, and that's a hard thing. I heard that Jamie Foxx is coming to Minneapolis. I know Jesse Jackson was here yesterday. Al Sharpton was here yesterday. Those are the guys you expect to see here, to try to help calm things down. I honestly think that that Chauvin being taken into custody is going to calm a lot of people down. Yeah. Will it calm everybody down? No, but
I do think it'll make some people just kind of go like, "Oh, okay, we did it," and walk away, and that's, I think, a little bit probably what they're hoping for too, is that it'll make a lot of people just because part of me too is like, I don't know if it should calm down.
I remember, if I recall, Ferguson.
I know it's a weird take, and a lot of people are going to be mad at me for saying that, but like that's part of it too. It's like this is years and years and years of oppression. Like these stories keep popping up. When you literally look at the list of just the last 10 years of people who were killed in situations like this, it's daunting.
Yeah,
and those are just the ones that made the news.
As I recall, in Ferguson, it was a good week that things went on. And the only thing that calmed it down was they had a couple of days where it rained very heavily. And literally, that's kind of what calmed it down. Am I saying I'm hoping for rain? No. But
dude, I watched one thing on Twitter that was just heartbreaking. It was and there's been a ton of stuff out there, but it was a dad teaching his son what to do in a situation if a cop is ever knee in your neck like that. And he was just like, so his literal son was handcuffed, and he was like, relax your whole body, and then make sure you're telling people I can't breathe repeatedly. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? I was like that as a father. I was like, my God, he was literally teaching his son what to do in a situation like that. And yeah, I don't know, it's just tough.
Not a lot of people know this, but I have a niece who has one child of her own, and she's adopted 4 children from Ghana. And I worry about those kids every day. They're great. They're great little kids. My sister has also adopted a boy from Ghana, and he's in high school now. And I worry about that all the time, because that's one of the things that the parents, how do the parents train them? You can't possibly do that. And it's a difficult thing.
Yeah. And also too, I'm definitely not a person. I don't want to say I'm not against all cops, whatever. I have family in law enforcement who I love and I know are good people, but it's like, it is a power system that needs to be in check. And I'm not saying it's everybody, but it is like, it's a very serious situation, especially in, I saw there was going around the video of a cop sharing his thoughts, saying like, there were 4 cops there. Your other job is being a first responder. And someone was saying they couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
That's part of your job then, is to check on him and make sure he can breathe no matter what you're doing. And I hate people's response will be like, so you think it's like, well, the cops fear for their lives. I'm like, yeah, that's part of the job. And they're trained and they have a gun and they have a badge and they have backup. Like if you're too afraid to be out there, then maybe it's not the job for you. And then the idea of when people say like, oh, so you want cops getting killed in the street? No, I hate that now it's considered radical to be anti-murder. I've had so many people, when I bring up something like that, and they're like, well, so cops just get killed in the streets. No, I don't want anyone to get killed in the streets. Even a murderer being arrested, I don't think they still get a fair trial. I don't think they should be killed in the streets. That's a lynching. no matter who you do it to. That's a lynching. If you murder someone in the street without due process, that's what that is. So it's I don't know.
I don't know that it's going to be the last one.
But yeah, we were discussing that.
It's because you, Dan.
You
ruined it, Dan.
John just wasn't sure if he wanted to keep going, but
I don't know.
I tell you what, John. In your defense again, John, to motivate you again, I look forward to these every Friday. Like I even texted you last night or messaged you, and I'm like, yeah, I got so much stuff going on. I don't know if I'll be able to make it, but I found myself this morning taking care of everything so I could be on here just to hang out for a little bit. And because I don't know, I like that social interaction, especially with comics. I mean, I miss it.
Same.
With that said, I wanted to ask your opinion. I did get offered my first comedy show out at a comedy club July, and they're taking all the proper precautions. And I talked to my wife, and she's like, go for it. And I'm like really excited, but at the same time, I think I brought this up to you, John. I'm a little nervous. I don't want to be looked down upon,
Thanks,
for doing this, but Aren't we comics? Isn't that what we want? What we want to do?
Well, I got offered something on June 26th.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, if you haven't booked it yet, I'll take it.
Like a gig, like going to the. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's over in Michigan, but you know, I mean, I just if
I mean, you were excited, John, weren't you? Initially, you were excited. I was excited.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah,
sweet, it's coming back. No, to say that I would I rather be able to have my headline gig at Goonies on June 6th? Yeah, but the way that it is here, I can't. But yet I can drive, all the way to Michigan and do a show. I mean, I don't know. The big worry for me is, yeah, we do. Thank you, Ida. It's always nice to see you, Ida, and thank you. You got a great son. Good kid. The hard part for me is because I'm in the target for Corona. I'm like, but you know what? I mean, I guess if that's what's gonna stop me from doing stuff, I'd rather be doing something I like, I guess. Yeah. Instead of getting in trouble for, doing something and then having somebody kill me. So.
Well, make sure your shows are really good, because if you do go out and you die of Corona, you better not bomb. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, maybe that's why. Maybe I get it
brushing your hair like, yeah, I got this.
Maybe I get it ahead of time. My gosh.
No, but that is interesting. I've been asked that a few times. Just like, when do you start booking stuff again? And I kind of keep going, I don't know, really. Maybe, yeah, I don't know if some certain offers like came to me, but like I'm not actively pursuing anything right now, just because, especially too, since for the longest time they were saying like around here, like, oh, we weren't really going to see our peak till like the summer, till like mid-June or whatever. And people keep going like, no. But now it's like, oh no, all signs are pointing to that prediction was correct.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because we are getting more and more numbers, and it's like approaching this area, it's like that. So, and now we're reopening. I mean, granted, Iowa never really fully closed anyway. But so it gets to the point to when then I am kind of like, I'm like, do I want to wait to see what happens in the next month? But then, am I going to be saying that all year? Of like, what's going to happen next month? What's going to happen next month? What's next? What's the fall going to look like?
I think just to be safe, on my website, I'm going to post like for the next 4 or 5 years, no bookings due to Corona, so I can just blame it on coronavirus rather than me just not getting booked.
Yeah, I know. That's, at least now though, you can just go up there and be like, hey, and after the show, no one come shake my hand. I don't want to talk to any of you.
Yeah, because that's always been a problem too, Logan. Like, meet and greet me.
Yeah, exactly. Now you can just be like, and once I finish my set, I'm walking out the door. Goodbye. Yeah.
And that's the thing too, Brad. Brad brought up keep doing things online, and yeah, it's I don't know, man. It's hard because it gets a little bit taxing after a while. And maybe guys, I'll be honest with you. Maybe part of this is because this week I did a crap load of stuff online. I did all the 1 o'clock shows. Tuesday I did a show at 9 o'clock with my buddy about wrestling. We were supposed to have Brad Williams on. And there you go, Jinder Mahal, the Maharaja. But and there was a little bit of confusion. Brad confused us with a different show, and so was not available, which is great because when you advertise a big name, then people think, hey, you lying jackasses. Yeah. He was never on there. So he's actually going to be on with us this next week.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. That's good at least.
Really. But it actually is a blessing in disguise because he was announced to be the guest host on the Jericho cruise, which now we can talk about.
Whoa! Nice.
And I'm actually going with my buddy and his nephew on the Jericho cruise this year. So
that's awesome.
So we're going to become famous that way. But I also did a show on Wednesday night where I didn't actually have to do anything but run the tech, but I had to get everything set up. And you guys know how I like to do fancy stuff. Exactly.
Cost thousands.
It was thousands.
Wait, did it?
Literally.
Don, I'm blessed.
I mean, look, it's more money than I have. But and then last night, which it was a lot of fun.
Send me your Venmo.
Yeah, don't worry about it. No,
yeah, start booking gigs, Chris. You got to pay John a lot of money.
But last night we did the match game, and as much fun as that was, it was a little bit of work to go through and pull them all out of there.
Yeah, if the question is like you are allowed to take a break anytime you want to,
for sure.
Yeah,
like you don't have to get if you're feeling burnt out, go ahead, But so I mean, and don't I think people too, especially in our profession, sometimes because especially younger comics, I have this all the time where some will get they're always constantly hustling, and then they get burnt out, and then they feel ashamed for needing a break, and it's like, well, no, like you need a break from stuff sometimes. It's okay to say I can't go to a mic tonight or whatever. I don't need to try to do a live stream today or whatever. Like you're allowed to feel that way. Like
I just want to leave Carol's comment up there because I've been told that Limburger cheese never solved anything. I don't know.
Particularly smelly cheese.
Carol, is that emoji actually Limburger cheese, or it look kind of like cheddar?
It looks more like cheddar.
John and Logan, I'll tell you this too, shameless plug, but me and Zach's podcast that we've been working on, Zach Martina, Immorally Speaking, shameless plug, but he sent me the link on how to track who was listening and who was how many views we're getting. I'm like, I wish you never would have done that, because I'm having fun with you, Zach, and we're just talking about childhood memories, but now I check. I'm like, it's been 2 weeks. We've had 9,000 views. That's way below average for me. No, but I'm like, oh, only 9 views. I'm like, stop showing me that. I don't want to see that.
Thanks, girl.
So, John, if you're having fun, keep doing it. If you feel like you need a break, like Logan said, by all means, take it. You've earned it. You deserve it.
I will say this. I don't know if was it this week? No, it was last week. Was it this week? Yeah, it was this week. The Memorial Day was this week, right? Mm-hmm. So I did a best of Hell Gig show where I edited everybody down, and it's got 4,000 views, which is
what does that mean? Yeah, it's awesome.
So I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's I got to be honest with you.
What that means.
So here's the thing. So I put the thing together, and I loved it because as I'm putting together, I've got everybody's. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it. But it's got everybody's little Helgas. Some of them I couldn't use because they were too short. Some of them like Dan's. It's right here, buddy. I did it quietly today, and I'm having the Menevois, because I didn't know what it was and I couldn't say it anymore.
Minervois.
Minervas.
I drink the Minervois.
I'm drinking the Minerva's wine. But anyway, I don't know if you noticed this, Dan, or if anybody else noticed it. I used an online video editor to do this, and I watched about the first 6-7 minutes, and I'm like, great, it's perfect. I go and start watching the whole thing, and at some point the audio and video get out of sync. And it keeps getting worse the further you go. and by the time it's over, it's like the music is done playing at the end long before the video. So anyway, to me, it's like, I don't know. It's not like I planned it, but it's almost like, yeah, that was a hell gig. That was an edit.
You had an online hell gig, bud. Congratulations.
But anyway, other than that, just a minute. So you guys have anything else going? Do you have anything online you're working on this next week, Chris?
Yeah, I've been asked. I've been doing a couple online shows, and just 10 or 15 minutes of just kind of clean comedy for some corporate stuff. But yeah, I have a show coming up next week where they want me to pretend like I'm an employee at the bank, like a new employee at this bank, and I'm just like, dude, that's not really my style. I'm not good at.
This is like an improv everywhere gig.
Yeah, I'm not good at being improv or like obnoxious. And she's like, no, it'd be funny. But they want me to do like 30 minutes of like me pretending.
Oof.
I'm like, that's going to go downhill quickly. So I'm trying to convince them, can I just pretend like I got hired there, but then go into my act? Like, you want me to just, I don't know, man. So Venmo me first, and then I'll be whoever the fuck you want me to be.
Right, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How about you, Logan? You got anything else cooking?
I do a podcast with my brothers called the Nielsen Brothers Podcast. We just a new episode out today. That's not necessarily like a comedy podcast. That's just an excuse for us to talk, and then because we don't talk enough, so we did that. But yeah, I have some other stuff that I'm working on, trying to produce with some other friends and get some other stuff going, and trying to kind of figure out what to what to do in this situation, because I know there's Zoom shows, stuff like that. I haven't really sought them out because I have no real desire to just tell jokes at the camera. I know that's the thing. So it's like part of me
Logan,
is like,
Logan, you should do a podcast about dolls, like dolls and
about dolls.
That would be funny.
me interviewing my dolls downstairs. They're not mine. I gotta stop. I can't call them mine.
I'd watch that.
Just asking a question, then dead silence for 20 minutes. Like,
well, I'll do a video version too, so it'll be me off the side with my mic, and then I'll have the good mic and pop screen set up in front of a doll's face too, and I'll just be sitting there.
Why would I watch that? I would watch that.
I know you.
And the first question you would ask a doll is, "Are you haunted?"
Yeah.
Is there anyone
and
here?
The doll would say,
just a demand, please don't kill me.
Yeah. It's just me trying to endear myself to the dolls so they don't harm me when they inevitably come to life. But
excellent.
Well, I got stuff. I'm teaching an online stand-up class through a theater in Chicago. It's weird.
What a way to learn.
Because think about and it's just like, think about trying to teach someone stand-up in this environment instead of being like, stand-up, usually I'd be like, well, go do it. Or, if we're in a class environment, you can stand up, like, all right, now do it. I can correct but now it's like, all right, I guess I'll tell you how to write a joke. I don't know. It's kind of it's been interesting. It's fun because it's making me just have to think about like comedy critically instead of just being like, I don't know, get up there and try it, and just have notes. Instead, it's like, all right, well, how do you explain stand up to somebody? I've never really had to do it fully, So that's been weird.
Interesting.
But I get paid for that though, so I'll take it.
Oh, there you go. Anything you get paid for is good. So if you're watching, you didn't watch the match game last night, I'm telling you, that was fun.
That was really fun. I genuinely had a blast doing that, and I'm excited to do it again. And and kind of off of the thing of like doing this and stuff like that. Yesterday, things were going down, and I was already contemplating that stuff. And then we did the match game, and it was exactly what I needed. It was wildly fun, So it's like that's kind of part of it too. It's like, oops, sorry.
Phone for you. But yeah, so we'll be doing that, and if you haven't watched that, go give it a watch. It's on Goonies page, and you can see what that's about. And it was fun, and we had literally a ton of people watched it. So we'll be doing that again in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then tonight at 5:00, I'll be talking with Joey Vincent from Filter Free America podcast and D'Angelo Funches. They've both been down at the demonstrations in Minneapolis in different locations. And we're going to talk with them a little bit about what's going on and what they've witnessed and experienced. D'Angelo told me there's a lot of things that happened that are not being reported, which does not surprise me in the least. I would like to know what those are. So those guys will be with me at 5:00 tonight, and there's already a link up for that if you would like to watch that. And I think it'll be very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, thank you so much for joining me and perking me up again. I can always count on you guys for that.
Well, yeah, for sure, John. I can tell you're going to keep going. It's a rough day today, but I got a feeling you're going to keep going.
He just needs a weekend off.
I know.
I'm going to go watch the SpaceX on Saturday with my grandson. I went to do that on Wednesday, and he was pissed that it didn't leave.
Yeah, because they scrubbed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
Oh my God, he was so mad.
I saw someone.
Hey, I'm gonna head out, guys. I got things to do, but again, longest Schlichting ever.
They're gonna get longer and longer.
I know. I love you guys.
Love you too, buddy. See you, man.
Bye, guys.
Anyway,
I saw someone post about the SpaceX Scrub launch, and it just said, "Imagine thinking you're going to space and then having to stay in Florida for 3 more days."
Thanks for looking in, Sharon. We appreciate it. Appreciate all your support. All your support for as long as I've known you. Thank you, my dear.
And for anybody who is watching, who are up in the Twin Cities, or anywhere, but just please, stay safe. Do you got to do, but everybody, just try to take care of yourself. Try to take care of your neighbor. Do what you can.
Absolutely.
I know it's my vague, just be nice message, but sometimes you got to do this.
It's a good one. Hi, Cindy. Thanks for looking in. We appreciate it. And Sherry, thank you. Celebrate your 5 o'clock somewhere, as I do. Oh, look, the phone.
Oh, you're getting the phone now, though.
As I do with my wine. Friday wine is the best wine because it's Friday. Anyway, all right, guys. I will be back on at 5 o'clock. I hope you'll look into that because I think it's going to be very, very interesting.
I will be checking in on that for sure.
Awesome. I appreciate it. And to all you out there, stay safe, as Logan said. And I will see you guys on Monday if you're not joining me at 5 o'clock. Everybody, take care and bye-bye.